Speed. Roll.
Christina, thank you for coming in today and for bringing your twin sister Marilyn, and thank you, Mrs. Allison, for all coming down. Christina, we're going to talk about the problem that brought you to see us, that brought you to the hospital, your short stature, and all of the things that happened to you after you got here, but also a lot of the things that happened to you before you got here. Mrs. Allison, could you tell us when you first became aware that Christina was not growing normally?
It became apparent at a very young age, in her first 6 months or so, that she was not keeping pace with her sister. Their birth weights were very, very close, 4 ounces difference is all. And Marilyn was just shooting ahead, and Christina wasn't. I thought maybe it had something to do with bone structure or something like that. And in the beginning, I didn't pay too much attention to it, nor were her doctors concerned in the beginning.
So that in addition to comparing Christina to other children her own age, you had your own built-in measuring rod in Marilyn and her growth pattern. Has Christine had any serious illnesses? Has she been sick?
No, she's a very, very healthy youngster. She had a few chicken pox and things like that, but nothing out of the ordinary. Very healthy, very active, very normal.
Was her activity similar to that of Marilyn's and of other children her age?
In general, yes. What she could do for her size. She's always been physically very, very active into lots of activities.
Christina, could you tell us how you felt before you started treatment about being shortened?
Well, I didn't really feel that good, because everybody was calling me shrimpy and short stuff.
And what did you say when they called you shorty and shrimpy? How did you feel?
Bad.
And Marilyn, how did you feel about all this?
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
Right, I didn't like it, like on calling their names and stuff.
And did this make you sad, or?
Mm-hmm.
It did. How do you feel now that Christina feels much better about her short stature?
I like it now.
Christina, you had a lot of tests done to make the diagnosis. Could you tell us how you felt about when you were going through these tests?
Well, I didn't really feel that good because of all the needles and everything.
Oh, would you say that again?
I didn't really feel too good with all the needles and everything.
How do you feel about it? How do you feel about it now that it's all over?
Well, it's okay, but I'm not too happy about it because of all the needles.
Mrs. Allison, could you tell us what happened after you decided that, after you became aware that Christina was really conspicuously shorter than Marilyn and than other children her age?
Well, we were finally told when she was 7 that it was time to start a real investigation as to why she was so much smaller. So we started with local doctors, pediatricians, endocrinologists, and eventually we were referred here for more intensive tests, and which involved hospitalization and lots of different types of tests being done for her. We knew it wouldn't be very easy for her, but we also knew that there was help available for her problem.
We also knew that there was help for her problem. Could you say that again? There was a big door slam.
Forgot what I said. But we also knew there was help available for her problem.
Christina, now that all the tests have been finished and a diagnosis of growth hormone deficiency was made, and we talked to you about growth hormone deficiency, could you tell us how you feel about the treatment that's being given to you now?
I feel pretty good now.
Well, would you describe what the treatment is?
Well, I have to have a shot every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
What's in the shot?
Medicine.
Do you know what the medicine is?
Mm-mm.
Do you know what the medicine is, Meryl?
Mm-mm.
Do you know what the medicine is?
Growth hormone.
Yes, it's growth hormone. And Christina, I thought we sort of told you about what the medicine was.
Mm-mm.
You don't know what you didn't know what it was. Well, how do you feel about what's happened since you've taken the medicine?
I've grown 2 inches.
In how long?
6 months.
Right. And how much were you growing before that?
I don't know.
Not much.
Less than a half inch a year, so that you really have begun to shoot up like a flower in spring. What have you talked to any of your friends about your treatment?
No,
Do you
I haven't.
do you talk to your mother about it? Who has to who decides what day it is in terms of treatment? Do you decide that, or your mother decide
My
that?
mother.
And despite the needle, how do you feel about the treatment?
Well, I'm pretty glad about it now.
Have Mrs. Allison, could you describe what's happened to Christina after the growth hormone treatment was started? Did you, aside from the fact that she's growing more rapidly, have you noticed any other changes?
Not really. We had some adjustment problems in the beginning of the treatment to the injections. It wasn't, I had to learn how to do it, and Christina had to learn to live with what was going to be done. This was hard in the beginning to get used to that. She's always been a happy, well-adjusted little girl, and that has continued. This hasn't adversely affected her.
Christina is a very good student, and she's continued to, despite the fact that she missed some school, she's continued to, with her schoolwork. Has it changed in any way?
No, she's continued to do very well. When she has to be away from school to come here, she normally gives them a report when she gets back, and everyone's pleased with the results.
Excuse me, cut that
Sure,
out.
That's cut now. So now where should we go from here?
You may want to intertwine this question in another place, because we did ask it in a different order.
Yeah.
Okay, Christina. Mrs. Allison, are there any other members of your family or of your husband's family that have had a problem similar to that of Christina? In other words, are there anybody that's been short, very short?
No. The men are all 6 feet or over. The women above average for women.
So that this was an unusual happening in either your family or your husband's family.
Okay.
Is there anything else, Pat, that we touched on the last time that we didn't hit this time?
Let me hit set there. Let me check focus. All right, I'm set.
Go.
Mrs. Allison, could you?
Would you start again?
All right. Mrs. Allison, could you tell us when you first became aware that Christina was shorter than other children her age?
Okay.
Has Christina ever been sick? Had any illnesses of note?
Okay.
Was there any difference in Christina's activity compared to Marilyn's activity?
Why don't you say that one again?
Okay. Mrs. Allison, did you notice any difference in Christina's general activity during the day compared to Allison's or energy level?
Okay.
Christina, could you tell us how you felt about your short stature before treatment was started?
Okay, don't glance away from it. Okay.
Christina, could you tell us how you felt about the test?
Oh, so.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm going to be looking at you, Christina, and you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Christina, could you tell us about how you felt before starting treatment when you were much shorter than you are now?
Okay.
Marilyn, how did you feel about your sister's short size?
Okay.
Christina, would you tell us about the test that you had before the diagnosis of growth hormone deficiency was made?
Okay.
How do you feel about these tests now?
Okay.
Mrs. Allison, when did you become seriously concerned about Christina's short size?
Good.
Could you tell us about the treatment that Christina is undergoing now?
Good.
Christina, do you know what the medicine is that you're taking?
Good.
What did you notice after treatment with growth hormone was started?
Good.
Has there been any change in Christina's performance in school or her outside activities?
Good.
Mrs. Allison, are there any members of your family or your husband's family that are short? This would include parents, grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles.
Good. Okay, now look at them and look at Christina and smile. Good. And Marilyn, good. And now just look at Mrs. Allison and nod. Good. Okay. That'll do it.
Great.
Okay. Thank you ever so much.
Where we would come and what would be done. And we explained to her as best we could what would be done. And we let her decide. It took her about 3 days to make up her mind. We said, you're
Now,
small.
this is what we got on the last time. We didn't get it on.
But
now. Maybe
I'm getting it now.
there's help. You know, you don't have to be small. But in order to get the help, it will mean hospitals and doctors and shots and some uncomfortable procedures. And it took her 3 days to make up her mind. One night she came in and said, I've made up my mind. I think we'll do it. And it became apparent at a very young age when she was not keeping pace with her sister's rate of growth.
About what age?
Oh, within the first 6 months,
You could tell that.
there was a difference.
I'll be darned.
Yes, we
Yeah.
come from a well-populated neighborhood. She had lots of friends, lots of physical activity, no problems in the neighborhood.
And then when she was in school, what happened?
There was a great deal of teasing from the other youngsters, and many people would not believe that she was the age that she said she was. And we came to the point that we would just introduce them as sisters, not twins, because many adults would not accept that.
So how did you handle that?
the best we could.
Did it make you angry?
At some people's insensitivity, the children are very bright, they have minds and brains and ears, and they were often treated as if they were just objects. Adults would have no concern for what they said and what the children heard.
So your reaction was?
Hostility sometimes.
What about you, Christina? Did people tease you a lot?
Yes.
Oh, yeah? How did they do that? Tell me what. Can you remember anything? Like, what did
A
they
little
say?
bit. They would come up to me and say, "Hi, short stuff," or "Shrimpy," or "French fry."
Oh, yeah? And what did you do?
I didn't do anything.
What did it make you feel like?
Like, well, it didn't really make me feel too good. Yeah, a boy that I'm a little bit bigger than he is now, and he would go around and tease me, and he was short too.
They've developed an interdependence, partly because they are twins, the same age, the same interests, the same stage in school, and partly because of the growth problem. I don't know if this would mean anything to anybody, but we have a problem when it's time for Christina's shots. It's very upsetting to Marilyn.
How do you feel when it's time for her shots?
Well, I want to go outside because when she cries, sometimes I start to cry, and it makes me sad.
You don't like your shots, huh?
We're getting better. It's getting easier as the time goes by, and now especially that we can see the results, we can see what it's all doing for her.
What do you feel like? What did you feel like when you knew that you were going to get shots? What is it, every day? No? How often?
3 days a week.
What do you feel like when those days start coming around?
Well, I don't feel too good because I know it's coming.
What's coming?
My shot
Where do you get your shots?
in my leg.
And what does it feel like?
It stings a whole lot.
But you've gotten used to it, have you?
A little bit.
How did you get used to it?
After I've had them for a while, I got used to it.
That's what I wanted.
We've always had a close relationship with the girls' teachers, and they were aware that she was undergoing testing, and when we had the results and knew what we had to do, I made it a special point to talk with them and to keep an eye on her in school for any changes that might be occurring because of what was happening at home. There have been a few minor problems keeping Christina in clothes because she's growing so rapidly, adjusting our schedule so that she has her injections the proper time, days of the week.